Hey guys, Jordan here. In this video, we're going to be talking about video settings for real estate photography. So let's get into it. All right, so if you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe if you're into real estate photography because I put out consistent videos on the topic. Today's video is based on a comment from Jared Michi. Hopefully I said that right. I made a video that says, is the A7IV and 4K 60 good for real estate video? I'll link to that one in the description below if you want to see that, but it says I use 4K 60 outside, 4K 30 inside. Really helps for so many reasons. On top of an A7IV and 4K 60, I'd be perfectly fine if they unlocked it as full sensor if you're doing external recording through something like Atomos Ninja, maybe like the Ninja V, or if it simply has a time limit, just no reason to limit 4K to crop mode entirely. I 1000% agree with that. Like, we have the A7IVs. Now, granted, we don't always shoot real estate videography in 4K mode, so it's not the end of the world, but there's really no reason outside of just trying to limit features on a lower level camera, right? Because I have the A7S, A1, you know, I pretty much have them all. And then the A7IV, you can do 4K 60 in crop mode, but not in full frame mode. And I think both cameras have the same processor, so there's really nothing from a hardware perspective that would limit it. It was just a software limitation to push more higher end video people maybe to a more expensive camera like the A1 or the A7 III. That's the only reasoning that I can get. But you know, at the end of the day, if you shoot 4K 60 and you really need all this, I'm not a big fan of like, oh, I think they might enable it, or you can shoot 4K 60, but I don't think it really is 4K 60. I think I may have looked into it because I have Ninja V, and it might have been recording in 4K 60, but it really wasn't 4K 60, if that makes sense. It was still really 4K 30. I think frame rate is important for real estate photography, especially if you're moving quickly. So like for video, a lot of times I'll use my A1, I'll just shoot 4K 60 even though it does 4K 120. I think 4K 120 is a bit on the overkill side of things unless you're super into slow motion looking footage. But I like 4K 60 just so that you can slow it down. And then obviously having the lower frame rate in the inside of a house is gonna have less noise. If you can slow down that shutter speed, it'll allow more light to hit the sensor between frames, and yeah, so you have a little bit more flexibility. But you know, unless you have an awesome camera like the A7 III, there's really not that big of a difference. I mean, that thing performs very well even at higher ISO settings. So you know, I mean, there's more variables to consider than just you know, the frame rate. You know, it could be your aperture setting. Maybe you need if you have a bunch of noise in your video footage when you're shooting 4K 60 on the inside, you know, maybe you know, having a larger aperture setting like a f4 or something like that, and the camera will then lower its ISO setting requirement and creating less noisy footage. Let me make sure I got everything covered. Yeah, definitely no reason for that. I'm not like, oh, I need 4K 60. At the end of the day, if you need to shoot 60 frames per second, if you're really fast and you're like, I just want to go through the house, that's kind of more my mindset. Like, I don't want to just go super slow and it takes me so much. I like to be efficient out there. I like to move fast. So having a higher frame rate, I can send it over to our editors. They can slow down my footage if I'm moving a little bit too fast. If I'm way fast, maybe I would choose 4K 120. But I think that would probably create more work on their end. I want to be a nice videographer for our editing team. So shout out to the editing team. They're editing this right now. Anyways, that's going to do it for this video. If you got value, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you're into real estate photography. We'll see you guys on the next one.